Hello everyone, welcome back to the computer science class. Hope all of you are doing good and well and staying safe and sound. I am Aparna Vijay from class 12, Silver Hills Public School. When we talk about cybercrimes, we are almost midway through the chapter, and today we will be starting a new section of the chapter. That section is called Cybercrimes Part 1. Okay, so when we talk about cybercrimes, we hear a number of news and articles being written and published about it every day in the news and articles that from around the world. It is not limited to a certain part of the world. And the worst thing, the fact that makes it even worse, is that it's not just a single cybercrime. It's a variety of cybercrimes from different parts of the world, making up different parts of a huge spectrum. Okay, so let's begin by starting with a basic question. What is cybercrime? Okay. Simply saying, in simple words, a cybercrime involves a computer and a network. Now, what is the computer used for? It could be even for the commission of the crime, that is for committing the crime, or it could either be the target. Now, what harm does it pose to the individual being cyber harassed? That individual may either suffer the security of privacy, security of financial health. Now almost all that is clear. Right, now let's move on to the relevance of learning about cybercrimes. Looking at that, you might wonder, now that we know about the definition of cybercrimes, what is the relevance of learning about cybercrimes? When we look at cybercrimes, it has taken a huge leap in the last few years, even amounting up to an annual average of 1.5 million cases. What is 1.5? Is it a small number? Not at all. It's 150000000000. So it's a huge number, as big as the Mount Everest. That much cases are reported annually. Now, is that the only reason why we need to learn about cybercrimes? Not at all. That is only one of the many reasons why I need to learn about that. Another reason is the failure. A major reason is that the failure of individuals and organizations to implement security mechanisms in their computer systems, devices and networks. Okay, good enough. Another reason, it is the individuals and representatives, business representatives' reckless communication via electronic media such as mails and social media websites. Okay, is that okay? Good enough? Okay, let's continue. That was the reasons why we need to learn about cybercrimes. Moving on to the main part of this section, types of cybercrimes. Now, if you had been sitting back and enjoying this whole session, you need to come back out of that comfort position and concentrate more on this position, because this is the main part of this whole section. Types of cybercrimes. Now, that cybercrimes may happen for a various number of reasons. That may include for stealing money, to access the financial and sensitive info of an individual or a group of people, or to weaken the integrity, or either to disrupt the business operations of a company or an individual. You might know much about the first, second and the fourth one. Now let's look a bit more into the third one, weakening the integrity. Did I say weakening the integrity? Yes, of course. What is integrity? Integrity may have two meanings. First one being the trustworthiness of an individual or a group of people, and the second one might be the unity, the wholeness of a company. Okay, how to weaken the integrity? Okay, I have to take revenge on you and I weaken your integrity. I weaken your reputation, I weaken your dignity. Now that is bad. Okay, don't do it. And the other meaning of integrity would be the wholeness of a company. I am disintegrating your whole unity. I am disintegrating your employees, your managers, everyone. I am just dividing into different people, not allowing you to work comfortably. Okay, now these may be the various reasons why cybercrimes happen. Some of the attacks may be more effective than the others, but all of them pose significant and unavoidable risks. Okay, now hence we conclude that is the basic requirement why we need to understand more about cybercrimes and the criminal activities. Okay, all of you good? I hope you are good. Okay, now moving on to the first cybercrime of the session, that is hacking. What is hacking? You might have heard a lot about cybercrime hacking. Let's look into more about it. It is the attempt to exploit a computer system or private network inside a computer. Okay, simple enough, got it. Now, it could be the hacker. What happens after a hacker hacks into a computer system? They get unauthorized access or control over the whole computer system, right? Then what do they do after getting access into the system? They use it for illicit, bad deeds. They are bad people, don't trust them. Okay, that was hacking. Now, when we look at it, there are three types of hackers. First one is white hats, second one is black hats, and third one is grey hats. Okay, now that was the three types. Let's look a teeny tiny bit into each one of them. First one is the white hats. What about the white hats? They are professionals who hack into their own systems in order to make it more hack proof, in order to check whether no one else is hacking into it or not. Now, they all are usually part of an organization. For example, we take Google, no copyright, okay, Google. We look at Google, and the Google might have white hats employed within the company, and that is in order to ensure that no one else, there are no loopholes in the particular system in order to hack into that system. Okay, moving on to the second one, we have the black hats. Black hats take control of a system for personal gains. The bad people among the three of them, the bad people. They take control over the system in order to attain personal gains. What do? They destroy or steal or prevent access by authorized users. Let's take an example. You have a lovely PC, personal computer. You use it every day, that you keep all your sensitive personal private info inside that. And one day I'm a hacker, I hack into your system and I prevent you from using your own system. Isn't that bad? That is bad. That is what a black hat does. Okay, now the black hat, how do they hack into the system? They find the system loopholes and weaknesses and just break the code. They crack the code, and hence, since they crack the code, the experts have also given them another word, another name, and that is called crackers. After learning about the black hats and the grey hats, you might wonder, what is the difference between them? There is no difference between them. Of course, there is a tiny bit difference between both of them, and that is that the grey hats notify the system admin of the loopholes in the system. Okay, and what do they get in return? They do this legally. Okay, they inform the company that there is a loophole in the system, and in return the company gives them the money. Okay, for informing them that there is a certain potential loophole that another hacker can get into. Now, what does black hats do? They break the code in order to get personal gains. Personal gains, bad people, bad deeds. Well, now hence, okay, therefore we conclude white hats are legal while black hats and the grey hats are illegal people, right? Illegal people, don't trust them. Okay, now since maybe I have told you that they gain money in return for a legal information that they give the certain company, the particular company, but still they break the code without the consent of the company, right? That is why they are called illegal. Okay, once again, white hats legal, black hats and the grey hats are illegal. Okay, now who is this person? Mystery. Okay, moving on to the second crime of the session, that is copyright infringement or piracy, simply called theft. You might have heard a lot about this whenever a new music or a movie gets out, right? A lot. Okay, I'm not gonna reference a particular movie or a song, but still, you know about it. Let's go a bit deeper into it. What is piracy or simply theft? It is the use of works protected by copyright law without the permission of the copyright holder. Now, what is the hacker doing when they are doing a piracy or theft? They are infringing or violating the rights of the copyright holder. Okay, now what are some real life examples? Some of the examples include downloading of music, movies, softwares or games by violating the copyright laws. Okay, now for example, on Instagram there is a really famous influencer who has a huge fan following. One day one of her followers posts one of her videos on their own account without giving them credits. Okay, without giving her credits. Okay, now it is an example of practical piracy and an example of simple theft. Now, who could be the copyright holder? The copyright holder could either be an individual, a publisher or some other form of business to whom this work is assigned. Okay, what are some of the rights exercised by the copyright holder? That could be to reproduce or distribute or display or perform that work or make derivative works from that particular work. Okay, good enough. Now the next type of cybercrime is cyber stalking. What is cyber stalking? Right from the name you understand a teeny tiny bit about what it is about. Okay, but still let's look deeper into it. Let's look deeper into it. Okay, what is cyber stalking? It is the stalking of an individual or a group of people using electronic means or internet. Okay, now what happens or who is being harassed? Who is the target? The target who is being harassed or intimidated could be an individual, a group or an organization. Okay, good. Now, what are some of the attacks posed by the attacker in front of the target? What could they be? They could be threats. Threats include literal threats. I'm threatening you, you have to do it, otherwise don't do it. Okay, that one. Now, another is the libel, then is the defamation, then is sexual harassment. What is libel? Now, libel and defamation, we have a separate section that is entirely dedicated to defamation, but still let's go a teeny tiny bit about it. Okay. Now, what is defamation? Defamation is the ruining of a person's reputation by another person, okay, using oral or written statements. Okay. Now, libel is an example of defamation. Libel is a written document falsely produced. Okay, falsely produced, that is very, very important. Falsely produced false document that is intended to ruin the dignity, the reputation of a certain individual or group. Eventually, when cyber stalking fails, the attacker takes into offline stalking. Okay, well, now we have the fourth type of cybercrime, that is identity theft. This one too, right from the name you get a slight, again I'm saying teeny tiny bit every time, but still we get a teeny tiny bit info about this one too. This one is obtaining the personal info or sensitive info of another person illegally through illicit means. Now, what does the attacker do? What does the hacker do after receiving that personal or robbing a person of their identity? That person commits fraud acts. Okay. Now, what could that fraud acts be? Unauthorized transactions and unauthorized purchases. What happens when after a person, the victim suffers identity theft? That person may suffer damage to that person's credit, okay, their finances or reputation. How come reputation? What if I accuse you of something that you didn't actually do? That is falsely accused victim. That is how their reputation is completely ruined. Looking at some of the pieces of information, personally identifiable information that can be used to access that individual's financial information or resources. Let's look at them. Individual's name, that person's name or residential address. I have never done this identity theft, so I don't know. Okay, now that is date of birth, then their social security number, their driver's license number, their bank account or credit card number, their PINs, electronic signatures, their fingerprints, their passwords, etc. Okay, these are almost all the things that I have mentioned here that could be used for getting or attaining a person's personal banking info. Identity theft. Okay, now the fifth one, most gruesome one among all those cybercrimes is child pornography. What is that? That is the creation, distribution or accessing of materials that contains sexual exploitation of an underage child or underage children. Okay, that is the most gruesome, the bad, it's a ghastly crime. Okay, it's a horrifying crime, child pornography. Now, what happens when such a media file is posted illegally on a site without the consent or illicitly posted on a social networking website? What happens? It becomes a permanent record of that child's sexual abuse. Okay, what happens to that child later? That child's victimization continues till perpetuity, continues till the end of their life. Now, there are some medical side effects too that happen or that occur as after effects to that particular child, and that may include the psychological damage that may happen to the child, including disruptions in their sexual development, their disruptions in their self-image, the growth of their self-image, and developing trusting relationships with others in the future. Right, just think about it. It is one of the horrifying, most ghastliest crime that could ever be committed via the cyber network. Okay, child pornography. Always be safe of what you do. Always be safe of your body. Always be in safety with yourself. Talk to yourself. Understand what is going on with yourself. Okay, be safe. Now, physically and mentally. Now, moving on to the sixth cybercrime, we have the sales and investment fraud. This is one of the most popular ones that we could see all the time in newspapers. Let's say occasionally that is present and published by the media outlets. Let's look at what that is. It is the illegal sale or purported sale, still illegal, illicit sale, false sale of financial instruments via online means, via online networking sites. Okay, now how come we can distinguish between the false ones and the real ones? Pseudo ones. Yeah, how can we distinguish between both of them? They make offers. The false one make offers like low or no risk investments or guaranteed returns, overly consistent returns, complex strategies and unregistered securities. Okay, now these were some of the offers, and if someone like that, if someone makes you a complex strategy or overly consistent returns, some claims like that, don't believe them. They are bad people, don't trust them. Next one, the seventh cybercrime of the session is electronic funds transfer fraud. What is that? Just like the former one, this one too is one of the most popular ones that can be seen occasionally published in the newspapers and by the media outlets. What is that? It is when an attacker intercepts and diverts the digital and online transfer of funds and fund details towards their side, towards the attacker's side. What does the attacker do, or how does the attacker lure them into sending them their details, their bank account details? What does he do? He tricks either party in a transaction into transferring money into his own bank account by providing them with fraudulent bank details, with false bank details. Okay, now that was the seventh one. Moving on to the eighth one, we have briefly discussed it once before, that is defamation. See, that defamation. What is defamation? It is when a person intends to lower the dignity of someone by producing false written or oral statements. Okay, looking at two types of defamation, we have libel and slander. I haven't written slander here, and slander is when false videos, false media clips, oral statements are produced by a person in order to ruin the reputation, in order to ruin the dignity of another individual or groups of people. Now, the written statement, it is done by sending someone by hacking someone's account and sending them spam mails in vulgar language, in bad language. Okay, and that is a form of libel. That is what is called libel. Now, looking at slander, it is the posting or publishing of false statement about another individual in their social media websites. That could be a video, a media clip, or maybe images. Okay, image, or mainly it's a video clip. Let's look at a practical real life example. I go to a restaurant, a 5-star restaurant. I go there, I order some food, I buy that food and I eat it. After eating, or let's say while eating, I experience a slight stomachache, or let's say a severe stomachache. I call the owner of that 5-star hotel restaurant and I accuse them of food poisoning, of causing food poisoning. How come? They might have done it unknowingly, but the actual fact is that you accuse them of food poisoning when the actual reason of your stomachache was eating home cooked food from your own home, right? So that is what I said right now is actually unknowingly accusing someone. But this whole thing happens when someone knowingly accuses another person, okay, in order to ruin their reputation. Now, a written statement, that is libel, falsely produced video or media clip, that is slander. Okay, now the last cybercrime of this session, we have the assault by threat. Okay, you understand it right from the title, assault from threat, assault by threat. What is that? It is a threatening of a person for the fear of their life or even their family's life through computer network or through other electronic media such as images, videos or emails. Okay, I'm threatening you. Okay, yeah, I'm going to kill your family. I'm going to ruin your whole family. Okay, that is what is called threatening or assaulting by threatening. Okay, hence we come to the end of the part 1 of cybercrimes part 1. So here we discussed, what did we discuss? First one was hacking, second one was copyright infringement or theft, okay, or piracy. Then the third one was cyber stalking, the fourth one was identity theft, the fifth one was child pornography, the sixth one was sales and investment fraud, the seventh one was electronic funds transfer fraud, the eighth one was defamation, and the ninth one that we discussed was assault by threat. Okay, clear? All clear? Okay, no doubts. I hope no doubts. Okay. Now, after that, we will be having a second part of the same cybercrime section, and in that we will be discussing, what will we be discussing? We will be discussing the 10th form of cybercrime, that is malicious software, or let's say malware. And the 11th one, denial of service attacks or DOS attacks. Okay, all clear? All done. Okay, no doubts? Okay, no doubts. You can refer the video again in order to understand what this is all about. Okay, just process this whole thing. Since it is a theory chapter, you may have several doubts, maybe lesser doubts than a practical chapter, but still, this one is fine. Okay, everything set? Okay, good job. Now that was the cyber crimes section part 1. Hence, we come to the conclusion of cybercrimes part 1, and like I said, in cybercrimes part 2, we will be discussing in detail these two cybercrimes, and stay tuned for the second part. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe online. Thank you.